Unpacking the criteria for 3.2, demonstrate understanding of the meaning of a media text through different readings. For achieved, you need to explain the meaning of the text through different readings and use very detailed, specific examples to back up your answer. For merit, you need to analyze how we've made this meaning by linking to context and techniques, and why we've made this meaning by linking to context and techniques. For excellence, we need to step further away from the text by looking at the implications and conclusions and results of the meanings audiences have made of the text, and then evaluate this. Achieved is describing and explaining with specific examples. Merit is providing reasoned explanations for why we've made this reading, linking to context, and how meaning has been made, linking to techniques. Excellence is where we come up with the results, the outcomes and consequences, the implications of making meaning of this text, and we evaluate these. So, achieved. For achieved, you need to be able to describe and explain. All you have to do for achieved is describe how meaning can be made from the text from two different readings. You need detailed and thorough examples to back up your explanation. Basically, you're telling me what the film is all about, but from the perspective of gender, society, genre, or ideology. And you're using very detailed, well-explained examples as evidence. For example, Revolutionary Road is about two people who are trapped by their gender roles and very miserable because what society expects from them is not making them happy and causes them to self-destruct. For example, April, as a woman in the 50s, is expected to be a stay-at-home wife and mother. For merit, you need to be able to link to the context of what's going on when the film is set, as well as what's going on in the world around the audience. You need to use the context to explain how and why we make the meanings we do because of what's going on around the time the film's set or viewed. You need to provide reasoned explanations. Reasons for why we are making this type of meaning from the film. What has happened that has caused us to make this meaning? How has the context positioned us as an audience towards the ideas that are shown in the film? And you need evidence here. You need really good examples from context or media theory to back up why we make the meanings we do from the different types of readings. Another way to look at it is to view it as looking at the impact. How does reading the film in this particular way impact our understanding of the film? So the second element to consider when writing at a merit level is how and why we make meaning through the use of techniques. So this is how the director has made the audience make meaning, and you can get very technical here and discuss how techniques position the audience. You can also discuss how context has positioned the audience. So to recap, merit is all about reasons or reasoned explanations for why we're positioned to think certain ways about ideas, and this all depends on the context, what's going on in the world associated with the audience viewing the film, but also what was going on around in the world at the time the film is set. And another way we can explain why we view ideas in a certain way is through the techniques that the directors used to position us towards ideas. Let's look at this in more detail. So, why? Why is all about context. So what could affect why is the societal structure of that time, or audience expectations of that time, or particular events in history that have affected audience expectations, or particular cultural beliefs and practices that are relevant at that time, or ideological beliefs and the main systems that shape the way people think and what they expect. Audiences are going to bring all of these into a viewing when they watch a film, and this will help them to make meaning of that film. You can also use media theories. The second way to look at this is recent explanations for how the director has positioned us to make meaning of the film. And these can be things like characterization, dialogue and sound, framing, semiotics, lighting, mise-en-scene, and editing. So why we make meaning from this reading? The link to context as an example is an explanation for why we come to the conclusions we do about the film through the way in which we view it. What we are conditioned to think and expect is because of the context in which we view the film. So for merit, you've really got to look at how viewing the film in a particular way uncovers meaning, adds meaning, or changes meaning, and you've got to have evidence for this. Your evidence is whatever context you bring to explain why we make that meaning. So, for example, we understand that April is trapped because of the expected roles of women at that time. This is where the merit part comes in. This was due to the way society was structured because the war, Returned Servicemen's Act, financial package, the women's rights movement developing, and of course you would do your reading around these areas and insert your footnotes, providing good evidence to back up whatever you say about these context points. So excellence is the effect of the reading on the audience and therefore society. These are the implications, they're the results, the outcomes, the consequences of reading the film in this way, or of having these ideas being brought up and shown to a massive amount of people. So not only must you talk about these implications, but you need to evaluate them as well. So examine them, judge them, and question them. So excellence is really, it's not sticking within the text. It's more than just linking to context. It's stepping out further from that and creating something new. So excellence is about implications, so the results, and you need to evaluate these. We've come at the standard from excellence, and what we've done is we've got you guys to come up with thesis statements which show perceptive understanding by evaluating the wider implications of two different readings on the meaning of the film. You are showing perceptive understanding by making a thesis statement. So if you've made a really good thesis statement, you've got excellence. So for example, Mendes shows the American dream to be a destructive force. What you are saying here is that the audience will come away with a negative view of American society. This is an implication. However, before we can award you this implication, you've got to go backwards and prove that you are deserving of it. So you've got to go and talk about the merit criteria, which is how and why we've arrived at this point. You've got to go look at context, you've got to go look at techniques. And this is the really tricky part. This is for a really high excellence. We want to see evaluation. And that comes from you. That's where your opinion comes in. Is it right? Is it wrong? Bring in some evidence. So, developing your argument. How do details from the film enable the viewer to make meaning from the text? So you've got your merit criteria, you've linked it to context, you've linked it to techniques. I need to see some really specific examples from the text now. I'm sure you can tell I'm working backwards here, but I'm just making sure that we tick all the boxes. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to use steal in your paragraphs. Make a statement that proves your thesis statement. Use a technique to show how we have been shown this. This ticks the achievement criteria and starts linking to the merit criteria. You're then going to use detailed examples to demonstrate your point. This is achievement criteria. Really, really detailed to get that solid achieved. Merit criteria, you're going to analyze this by answering why. You're going to link to reasoned explanations for why we think this, what has happened in the context of where the film's set or the context of the audience viewing the film. What's happened that's shaped us and made us see the film in this way. And finally, your linking sentence. Link it to implications. Your implication is your thesis statement, and evaluate this. This is where we personally see what you have personally learnt.